Welcome to Maverick Mind, the podcast. If you are a creative soul, really ready to unlock your potential and design your path to freedom on your terms, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Ellie, designer, entrepreneur, yogi, and coach, and consider this your home to dive into the mindset, energy, and strategy to fast track your way to success. I'll also introduce you to some of the most creative, visionary, and maverick minds I know to share their insight, to feed your curiosity, and to inspire your next creation. I'm so happy you're here, so let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to Maverick Mind, or a massive warm welcome if this is the first time that we're connecting. It's so amazing to have you here, and I'm so excited to share this conversation with you. This week, I feel like this person, this interview, this conversation could not have come at a better time. I think that I'm not going to go too far into it, but at the moment, at the time of recording this, there's a lot of news and a lot of noise swirling the theme of integrity, I would say, within the music industry or within Hollywood in general. And that's why I'm so excited to share this conversation with you, because I'm joined by somebody who's created a lot of success within the music industry and is a real light within his corner of the music industry. And he is so in integrity, so mindful, so true to himself, to his message, and through what he shares within his work. I think it's so enlightening, and I think it's so needed. And I think that I really hope that this conversation serves as a reminder to you all that you don't need to sell your soul to get where you want to get to. You get to create a life that you really love, create success, whatever that means on your terms, forge your own path in alignment with your values, in alignment with your vision, in alignment with your truth, and standing firmly in integrity with who you are and what you believe in. You do not need to compromise that, and you do not need to sell yourself to get to where you want to get to. That's what this whole project, this whole business of mine, Maverick Mind, is really all about. It's about guiding you to have so much conviction within yourself and so much trust in yourself and in your talent that people can't not watch, that people cannot not be magnetized by whatever you create. And as I said, today's guest is... This week, I am joined by Kenny J. Wilkins. He is a recognized singer-songwriter and producer within the R&B space. He's a former member of a band called Riff, but as I said, he's produced for many other bands, and he is working and pushing out his own solo stuff right now, which is so great. It's kind of influenced by... It has a real old-school R&B sound, but it has undertones of gospel and undertones of Latin, and it's just a really soulful, really true art that he's putting out into the world. It's so great. He is an accepted member into the Grammys as a voting member of the Recording Academy. Hello. Nominated for a Hollywood Independent Music Awards. He's just this year alone been featured in over 30 publications and 20 podcasts. It's such an honor to be one of those. And he is an absolute embodiment of somebody who is standing firmly through what he believes in, firmly in integrity with who he is, what he wants, what he's influenced by, what his message is, and pushing what he believes out through his art. And I'm so inspired by that. In this conversation, we talk a lot about integrity within the music industry or within creative industries in general. We talk about channeling your message through your art and being vulnerable enough to share your truth, what you really believe in. And we talk about his navigating grief and my journey through grief too. We talk about the main influences upon his music, or things that I can hear and things that he intends to put through his music. And we talk about his creative process, which is really, again, very honestly led. And as I said, I really think that this conversation will highlight so much of what's needed to be said at this time within our creative industries. And I really hope that it's a guiding light to you, and I hope that it gives you that validation that you can get to where you want to get to by standing firmly in your truth and not compromising that and not selling your soul to anybody, and really going after your vision. So without any further ado, let's dive right in. Kenny J. Wilkins, welcome to Maverick Mind. Kenny, a massive warm welcome to Maverick Mind. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thanks, Miss Ellie. I appreciate you. Thank you for getting me on this phenomenal podcast, Maverick Mind. Thank you so much for having me on. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing?
You're so welcome. I'm so excited to dive into this chat. You have so many layers to everything that you do.
Yeah.
But I guess the great place to start was how you kind of got into music. I mean, I know you started very, very young. So can you tell the listeners the story to discovering that passion of yours?
Yeah, music has been my passion for since I can ever remember. 5 years old was when I kind of really remember being, kind of really interested in music. My DNA, aka my dad, was a musician. And it was an easy thing because it was always there, always available. 5 years old, I started playing at the church as a young guy, playing the guitar there at church. Don't know if I knew what I was doing, probably not. Just enjoyed the sound of music. Did something to me that at 5 years old, I'm sure nothing else would, but just music was just a part of my thing. And I have the same passion as I did at 5 as I do now. As I went through high school, just kept pushing it, and my passion just grew more and more and more through 3 kids, a marriage, and I'm still here doing music. And another aspect of it is just kind of being real mindful of perspectives and the messages that you put out. Mature enough to understand that my artistry is a backdrop to your life, and I can't sing anything that I don't believe in. And my message is going to be positive, and it's going to have an essence, hopefully, of change and just goodness. So, in a nutshell, that's what it is. That's what Kenny J is, and that's what it is. Yeah.
Amazing. So if your dad was also a musician, was he a professional musician, or was he a musician at church, or was it just something he did as a hobby?
Professional, as in church, yes. Professional as far as the masses of the world's probably not, but in the church scene, the gospel scene, he was pretty well known in that local area and in the tri-state area, which is up north, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and all of that sort of stuff. So he was definitely a gospel musician of that day. Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting because I can really hear, like, it's subtle, but I can hear a hint of a gospel vibe in your music.
Yeah.
That's like,
Yes.
it's like a background of
Hmm.
something. Is that intentional, or is it just something that inspires you?
I've been exposed to so many different genres of music, from gospel to R&B to jazz to Latin to, I don't know, West Indian, I don't, whatever. It's just, I'm free with whatever I've been exposed to. Gospel is definitely a major, major musical influence. So if you hear it, yeah, it's not fooling you. That's just a part of me. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah.
it. As you say, it's like in
Hmm.
the DNA and from
Hmm.
something that's run through
Yeah.
you from a very, very young age, or probably for your whole
Yeah.
life if your family have always been to church.
Always.
Um,
Yeah.
do you remember there being a point where you decided that this is something that you wanted to do for the rest of your life or take seriously, or was it just it just happened on its own?
No, I always knew that I wanted to do it. Always. Even when I got the first contract to do demo work for a record company, and my mom turned down the record deal for me. It crushed me, but I didn't stop. I continued to go, continued to pursue music, and it was never going to stop me. Nothing was going to ever stop me from doing it. That's just because I have a passion for it. So even if I ever wasn't on a public stage doing anything, I would still do music um, just for my own personal gratification. It's just something that brings me peace. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of the people listening will resonate with that. I think if you're
Hmm.
here and you're listening to this, you're a creator of whatever kind, because you can't not, you cannot
Yeah.
not create.
Mm-mm.
That's so interesting though that your mom turned down the record deal for you. Do you know why she did that? Was it like a protective thing or?
I would believe it was. I don't think she would, at least I don't think so. At the time when you're young and you're coming up, I mean, everybody's getting record deals. She was handing out record deals left and right during those days. And I think she was calling herself trying to protect me. And my thing was, I'm going to use my maverick mind, right? And I'm going to say, man, this was something that I really wanted to do. And obviously, it wasn't a fluke. It wasn't oh, it's just going through a fad. No, it was just obviously something that I want to continue to do. And I'm still here. So, record deal or not, Kenny J still here doing
Still
music.
here.
So, I hope she's looks at it and is like, oh man, he's still doing it. Absolutely. I'm not going to stop. So, record deal or not, I'm still here.
Yeah, amazing. And you
Mhm.
kind of gone into different things as well, like production and
Hmm.
writing and everything. Again, was that
Yeah.
like just a passion for production, or do you think it was from producing your own music that you went into that?
Well, it was just a desire to just kind of want to have my hand in every area of music, whether it be business, whether it be production, whether it be writing, whether it be instrumentation, whether it be engineering or whatever it is. I just wanted to be a part of it. I didn't care what area I sat in or to do whatever. I was game and open to do it. So I never shut myself off to just be an artist. So when your artistry fades away, um, what else are you to do? Do you still want to be around music? It's like, your favorite basketball player when they retire and it's like they're not playing basketball anymore. They still want to be around the sport. So they'll try to be coaches or they'll sit in the front office and they'll be around the sport. They love it so much. So very similar to me. So wanted to continue to do it and I still do it. So yeah.
I love that because I speak about that a lot actually. That I think a lot of people they have like a vision of what maybe success on their field should look like. It should look like the
Mm-hmm.
big stage. It should look like, millions and millions of records sold. Or if
Mm-hmm.
you're an artist, it should be exhibiting in, the really famous galleries or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And those are great visions to have if that vision really feels true to you. But I think the driving force has got to be that you just want to be involved in
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
whatever aspect of the industry that you're in. I think it's got to be from a space of love, really.
Yeah. Love, honestly, and motivation. What exactly motivates you to love the passions that you have? So all of your passions that you have cannot be all the time motivated by financial gain.
Mm.
There, there is a level of life that brings you joy by what you're passionate about. So we hope as artists and creators that what we're passionate about is going to bring us the finances, but we don't necessarily do it for the finances. And if it does, we're going to love going to our jobs every single day.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset that I have. I'm I love to get the finances, but I don't necessarily do it for the finances. I do it because I have the passion for it. There's another aspect of it is just be very careful because sometimes people will use that passion that you have for their benefit. So you gotta just stay vigilant and make sure you're doing it for the right reasons and protect yourself with all causes, with all doubt, with everything. Just trust yourself, protect yourself, because some people will take advantage of that passion.
Yeah, for sure. And I think intuition is always a really key thing. If you get like a gut feeling about something that's not
Hmm.
right, even if
Hmm.
if it's like a financial gain or something, I think that gut feeling is usually correct
Hmm.
in my experience anyway. I mean,
Hmm.
in that kind of pursuit of just following your passion or following what you love, do you remember a time that you doubted yourself or doubted maybe that this was the right path for you, or has it always been like hell bent, I'm like sure that this is where I'm meant to be?
So some of the doubt that I had was just the way the industry is just built. The doubt that I had was like I wasn't going to compromise who I was or who I am for anything. I know people will kind of, try to, write you that real big check and then they take advantage of you. Those were the areas that and I think just to save my mother from just thinking that she did a bad thing by not letting me save that contract, maybe she was trying to protect me from that. As you mature and you get through industry and you see what the music business is, it's the music business. So the music business is not in in the business of doing anything but making money. So if there's anything that was kind of like really weird for me was whether or not you was going to sacrifice who you are for anything else. That's very challenging because anybody in the industry or music or artistry want to be successful. How does most people say you're successful? It's just the amount of money that you get from doing what you do. Um, and sometimes that could be a challenge, and you have to kind of revert that back to you and just say, look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to sacrifice myself for anything. And having that mindset kind of helped me, from not making those bad decisions. So, um, if any hindrance it was probably that. Not that it was a bad thing, but I just did never want to just sacrifice my soul, myself for anything. So that may have been considered a hindrance for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something that a lot of us struggle with. And also, it's a fear that a lot of us have. Whether you're going to go into an industry like music where you kind of feel like you have to be signed by someone else,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're kind of in control of your image and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Some artistic paths, you don't really have to do that, but you still have that fear of like, is it going to take away my essence of who I am? Am I going to
Mm-hmm.
get manipulated by someone, or am I going to lose my spark somehow? That
Mm-hmm.
is a real fear. And I think that to have the conviction to say, like, actually, no, I'm going to stay true to myself, even if it's not what the norm is or not what
Mm-hmm.
we're taught is what you should want. I mean, I know your mom kind of made that decision for you, but I'm sure later on you had your choice.
Yeah.
That's like really, really strong thing to do, to say, like, no, actually, I'm going to stay true to me and
Mm-hmm.
always keep the essence of what I'm creating within my control.
Yeah,
That's
and
powerful.
another thing to that is to have people around you that's not afraid to be honest with you. Sometimes we get people that are just so enamored in what you do as an artist, and they become a lot like a fan as opposed to a person that's helping you get to your journey. Have people around you that's going to give you checks and balances to say, yeah, no, yeah, no. And you have to trust them and they have to believe in you and be genuinely a friend to help you navigate yourself through it. And though that's a very, very important aspect of it because sometimes we can second and third and fourth guess ourselves. When you have a person or two that's there that you really love and they really keep you on one and they keep you rocking like it needs to be rocked, that's a recipe for absolutely success. You cannot have yes people around you. Make sure you have people around you that's going to say, "Yeah, you can't do that."
Yeah,
We
to
can
keep you
we can look
grounded, I
at
think, for sure.
yeah, we can look at media right now and what's going on in the industry right now. We can see that, you know, somebody somewhere dropped the ball and you're just allowed to do whatever you think you need to do, and that's a problem. That's a huge problem. So have friends around you and people around you that's going to say, "Yeah, no, you can't do that. Don't do that." So when you do, it should be no amount of money that these people that you have around you should take from keeping you quiet. They should automatically, because they are friends and they love you, they're going to say, "Nah, don't do that." So that's going to help you.
Yeah, for sure. And in your life, do you think that's mostly been like friends and family, or have you had like a particular mentor that's really brought that out in you or that's really guided you?
Well, sometimes you do. I didn't have anybody just like readily available. I had mentors that I paid attention to. Not the greatest thing, but the great thing about me is, I can hold myself accountable. I haven't lost the essence of kind of doing checks and balances within myself and paying attention to people that are doing positive things. Dysfunctionally, sometimes artistry and the creative process will have you feeling like you can run the world. Unfortunately, you can't. So there has to be that essence inside of you that's going to say, yeah, you can't do that. And um, I can't say I never had any mentors. I did have people that I looked up to, and looking at their lives, I decided to, pick the good things out of the things that they've done and use that as a help to help me along the way.
Yeah, that's a great idea, especially for those listening that maybe they don't know where to find a mentor or something in their industry. It's like look up to people that have walked the path before you.
Hmm.
And as you say, take what you want, leave what you don't. Take
Hmm.
the parts or aspects of them that really inspire you. And then if they've done things that maybe you don't vibe with so much, then just leave those
Hmm.
parts and kind of create your own vision for yourself through that. I think that's
Hmm.
really helpful for people for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm a big up your Maverick Mind title of your podcast. Being maverick minded is just that, taking control over it regardless of anything else. You have to decide, you have to speak to yourself. Sometimes you're not going to have people there. Being maverick minded is going to allow you to make those decisions and be unequivocally decided that you're just kind of going to do the right thing. That's just part of what I do as an artist into putting positivity out in the world.
yeah, for sure. And then like in that light, the path of a quote unquote maverick person is one that maybe most people don't walk. It's one that maybe we're taught is a little bit scary or not
Hmm.
very secure or
Hmm.
not like everybody else. You're going to be quite outside the box. So you kind of have
Hmm.
to be a bit of a magpie too,
Hmm.
kind of take bits
Yeah.
from places of inspiration and
Hmm.
tools and techniques to keep yourself accountable to yourself and to keep
Yeah.
yourself going along what feels like sometimes can feel like a tunnel, like there's no light
Hmm.
at the end until you do get to that end and you're like, oh wow, I was
Absolutely.
right this whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely a good trick to even use for yourself. You have to be able to self-motivate yourself because there's not a lot of different things in the world right now to stay motivated. You have to use your gifts, your talent, your creativity to bring motivation to yourself and to bring motivation to people outside of yourself. And when you do that with purpose, more or less, you're going to be walking into a level of purpose for yourself because most of us here on this earth, if not all, we're created to be changers. You know what I mean? We're created, to put our essences in the world and create. So for me as an artist, it's creating love, is creating perspectives, creating positivity with all that we have going on in the world. Look at the news. You'll see so many things happening. And what sticks out more is just the lack of love. Nobody who wants to put themselves in a situation like that other than the person that's really not in love with themselves. You know what I mean? So hopefully my artistry and what I do and what I create is just gonna just create a pathway to for people to understand it with a different perspective. So
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel that like heavy influence on love and everything that that word love represents
hmm.
within your music and within your lyrics and even just the vibe of
Hmm.
um the songs you create. So I can definitely
Yeah.
feel that. Um well that being like a really key influence I can hear, and also the influence of women. I find that really interesting,
Hmm.
like female empowerment
Hmm.
and like respect for the feminine. That's so interesting. So I'd love to kind of dive into a little bit more about what inspires you, what inspires your writing.
Yeah, as an artist, and I kind of sat down as I was writing You're a Woman and Love Is All We Need, but You're a Woman in particular. I wasn't going to be the one to sing it. I was going to be a woman to sing it to empower the women. But I kind of got like, man, what if I sing it? What would that be like? And I it looked like I was basically, well, I am just basically empowering women. Women are responsible for so many things around the world. The secret is out, ladies and gentlemen. Women control a lot of the world. We just don't know it. In the back scenes of a lot of different things, women are responsible for creating that safe space. Women are responsible. So I think it's important for me as an artist. I didn't want to be a part of the artistry as an artist to have women disrespectfully, you know, you know, looked at wrong and degraded because they are beautiful, right? So if that's what it takes to sell a record, I think that's a problem with it. I think it's a problem with it. What happened to the quality of the song? Like, what is the song saying to make it okay for a woman to be disrespected? what is about it, and kind of agitated me. I was never a disrespectful person, but to write songs to degrade a woman, it absolutely made me kind of agitated and sick. So I was like, what can I do as an artist to kind of put forth some good energy in the world? And I had to kind of, empower you guys to let you guys know, you know, I see your smiling face. You know what I mean? We adore you guys. We appreciate everything that you bring life, or you have the capability of bringing life into this world. I don't think any other species on the world, in the earth, can do, well, sure, other species that's born with that sort of thing. They can give the world light. They can give the world humans. That's to be celebrated to me. And I wanted to put that positive energy in the world, and to let you guys know that Kenny J supports y'all for sure. Yeah,
I love that because I
yeah.
think that's so true what you're saying. We have had like a long era within music. I mean, it's been, I guess, a theme, but I think in the last 10, 20 years, it's been quite heavy theme within a certain, maybe not every genre of music, but in a lot of genres of music, that it
Mm-hmm.
has been maybe the opposite. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
yeah, as you say, like a little bit degrading, not so empowering, whether that's through the lyrics or whether that's just through like
Right.
videos and things like that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think it is really refreshing to like again stand up for what you believe in instead of following the
Yeah.
crowd just to sell a record. To say like, actually, no, I think you guys are wrong. This is what we should
Yeah.
be saying.
Yeah. Just think about it. Who sells out all of the shows? Women. Who who's probably one of the biggest consumers in the world? Women. Who's going to buy your records? Women. Who's going to support your social media? Women. Who's going to buy your merch? Women. I can go on and on and on and on and on. And it, who doesn't think that that needs to be honored? For me, it's like, man, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So that song was written out of the love and the passion to kind of just want to put that back into the world. So, yeah.
Yeah, love that. And yeah, I guess that the third main influence that I see in your music is your wife.
Yeah. Yeah. We lost her last year due to complications due to ovarian cancer. Um, she fought, and it was just her time to uh, expire in the earthen realm. So she's in spirit. My daughter is here to carry on her essence here in the world. Just to the most part, I think it's important that my daughter carries on her essence, her specific essence, hers personally. She does have a part of my wife, which is cool. And um, respect. And I was married for 21 years, and
Wow.
we had 3 children, and life and how that is to where it used to be 21 years. For the last 21 years, it's um, you know married. You know what I mean? You get used to a person that long, and it's time. Or a year later after her passing, um, it's still not necessarily difficult, but because it's okay, I can't change it, but I have to kind of move on and enjoyed her while she was here. But it's time, and um, the process of it, and I get most people want to ask me the process of it, and most people don't understand that at some point during the mourning process, it has to stop. It has to fade away. And I think if you find yourself in that continuously, yeah, you're kind of reliving it over and over and over again. That's not healthy to me. And for me, it was just at some point it had to kind of move on, and I did, and I'm doing okay. So I'm raising my babies, my kids. They're not babies anymore. My youngest is 21 years old. My oldest is 26, and my son is
Wow.
23, and I got a grandson 4 years old. So it's all right. We good. I'm doing music. I'm still doing positive messages, and that's where it is for me. Yep.
Yeah. Well, first, I
Yeah.
just want to say, like, my heart really goes to you because
Thank you.
I kind of not know exactly what you've been through, of course, but I had a
Mm-hmm.
similar thing with my dad. He
Mm-hmm.
passed away 2.5 years ago with lung cancer, and it
Mm-hmm.
is such a tragic, like, indescribable time of life.
Absolutely.
for
Right.
sure. So my heart really goes to you, and I totally know what you
Yes.
mean about that kind of grief period.
Mm.
You have to feel it in the moment,
Yes.
but there is a point
Absolutely.
where you have to like take yourself out the hole and then
Yeah.
channel it into something. And
Yes.
not like kind of you never fully move on. They're always there, as you say, they're always like
Right.
in spirit near you, or that
Right.
feeling of grief is always like present, or
Right.
a lot of the time.
Right.
But you have to somehow stop stagnating and
Yeah.
get the
Keep
motion
going.
back into
Yeah.
life, for sure.
Yeah. Going over it and over it and over it again constantly. It's just frustrating. It's just, and it's not frustrating. The situation is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you kind of have to, because you'll get into a really, really crazy headspace if you continuously go over it and mull it over and what I could have done this, I could have done this, could have done it. You'll drive yourself insane. And for me, it was important for me that I be present with what life is for me now, because I can't be present for what's not here anymore, because that's kind of, not possible. You know what I mean? It doesn't work properly if you do that. You find yourself talking to yourself because that person isn't here anymore. And that kind of gets you into another headspace, is where you're going to need some more therapy. So,
Yeah,
so, so you got to kind of move on. And I did, and I'm grateful that I did. In fact, the memories are still there. And that's just what it is. So I have to take on that mantra and live by it, because I still want to be present here for me, for my babies. So that's what it is.
for
Yeah.
sure. Do you feel like maybe the process of creating music that was, I guess, influenced by her, might not be exactly about her, but influenced by her
Yeah,
in some way? Do you think that helped?
to some degree. I mean, my music is always influenced by something. Um, so not necessarily her per se, but it could be I'm inspired by any and everything that I go through, or any and everything that I think. So it has to be because, my thinking mechanism has those thoughts in them. It has those thoughts in my brain. So as I'm creating, those things just come out. I'm so appreciative of just having, excuse me, the gift of music, because that's therapy within itself, to be able to get those thoughts out. Without those things, you find yourself acting out and other things. So instead of putting all my time into kind of, being crazy and, disillusioned and all of that sort of stuff, you go to what makes you comfortable, go to your peace. For me, it's my music, my writings. For others, it may be writing a book, creating a movie, creating a podcast. Whatever that is for them, that can help you kind of use it as therapy to kind of get through the process.
Yeah, for sure. I've had a few
Yeah.
people on the podcast that say similar things, maybe not with music, but with art or writing poetry or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. It is a therapy, even if it's like not obvious to look at. You might see a painting that's a little bit abstract that someone did
Mm-hmm.
during a really hard time. It doesn't have to be grief. It could be, I don't know, they just had a really bad time of life, or they were feeling a bit down one day.
Right.
And you can't necessarily see exactly what it is that they're going through, but you can, for them, it
Right.
was some way of releasing
Mm-hmm.
that energy, or that, or just taking a pause from the thoughts in
Mm.
the mind, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't, to be honest, I don't think I've ever said this out loud before, even to
Mm.
my family. But for me, like going through that with my dad over time, I think was later that year, or like a few months later. I can't remember exactly when. I was when I had the idea for this business, well,
Mm.
now a podcast, but it was just a coaching platform before, Maverick Mind.
Right.
And it was actually inspired by my dad. And it was kind of like a channeling of his legacy, because he was a super
Mm-hmm.
creative person. He was a writer,
Wow.
wrote loads of different things, but he also did painting. He was like one of those very like, he would create
Artistic.
all the time,
Right.
very artistic in
Wow.
very different, loads of different ways. And he was one of those people that, like, if you talk to him about what you wanted, he would be like a
Mm-hmm.
salesman of your own dream. He would like
Mm,
tell you all the reasons why you should go and do that. You should go and like do something crazy or do something that was like totally against the grain. So it was kind of
mm.
around like a bit of a legacy piece for him. Do you think that now the music that you're creating is some kind of legacy of hers, or do you think it's still just out of love of
Yeah,
music for yourself?
some could describe it as a legacy for a bunch of different things. It's inspired by a bunch of things that I go through. And I can honestly say, like, I'm more of a conscious writer. I write a little more conscious. I might write more in with the perspective, that love abounds. That love is going to kind of be the thing that draws you closer. And if you continue to do that, the sky's the limit with what you could do in your life. You have to find a level of peace in your life. And if that's what it was for me, I'll take it. I mean, never looked at it as um, I was writing songs about her necessarily. But I could take it's been inspired by her. I'm cool. I'm cool with that. She was a teacher by trade, particularly in the area of um, um, special education. So kids that had autism, kids that suffered with ADHD, ADD, whatever their said to be issue was, she was responsible to teach them. She had such a passion for those kids, and she barely got any sleep because she was up, in the middle of the night, just making sure she prepares everything that they needed for their lesson the next day. And she was definitely a lover of that spectrum, kids that are on the spectrum and all of that sort of stuff. So she was very heavily into that, very hard, and very took the point on education. So she was inspired by education. I'm inspired by love. Hopefully, her education rubbed off on my daughter. She's going to USC here in America, University of South Carolina. Um, I'm talking about love constantly, my perspectives and positivity. So there you go. So if that's the spirit that I got, I'll take it hands down for sure.
Love
Yeah.
that. Love that. So would you say like love is like the greatest driver? And like from I'm also a meditation teacher, so there's like a style of meditation called metta, and it kind of is or it's sorry, not metta, but there's like a certain mantra you can say through meditation. And that mantra is aham prema, which means I am divine love, which
Mm,
actually means like everything that the word love represents is who we are as human beings.
mm,
And I think that that word is something that really connects people like and of anywhere in the world. And it's something that people maybe deny within themselves sometimes. And I
mm,
think creativity can kind of, if you're doing it in a way or a creative journey, I should say, towards finding that vulnerable space to share really what's going on in your mind and heart and soul, and then channeling it outward
mm,
is kind of a radical act of like self-love, and then
mm,
also love on someone else, because it's then you're sharing it and then they can see themselves within that.
mm.
um
Wow,
so I'd love to know
that's heavy.
maybe like anything that you do or have done that maybe gets you to that vulnerable
Mm.
space of sharing through your words or through sound.
Okay, so during a lot of times, most times, you say meditation. That's an area. I say just peace. So meditation is just putting yourself off into a quiet space. That's exactly what my process was as time went on through the process. Even in my life, I find it very peaceful to just cut off everything, cut off the noise, and just be quiet. You would honestly be fascinated by how much that can help you on your day to day. For me, um, what helped me, and I don't say it's often enough, is my belief in God, my belief in love, my belief in just treating people like you want to be treated. My perspective on that um, is honestly multicultural. It goes on many different areas. So I'm not concerned about what your financial preference is, what your sexual preference is, what your religion is, what color you are. I don't care about any of that. I think everybody in this earth, on this earth, needs love. No matter how small it is you give it, how large you get it, it's necessary. And for me, during those peaceful times, I just kind of think about so many different things that I can help fix. It's just my love for human, my love for people, my love for not wanting things to be wrong. You know what I mean? And I kind of have those sorts of sessions with myself just to be quiet and pay attention. And sometimes when I'm cooking, I don't have any music on. You know what I mean? Sometimes when I'm even looking at TV, I don't have sound on. So sometimes when I'm riding in my car, sometimes there's no sound on, listening to the road, rolling the windows down, listening to the wind coming in. Um, Sometimes I'll put on a podcast and pay attention to what's said. There's so many different ideas that I've had as far as songs that came out of me being quiet.
Mm.
Um, so I hope that helps with the meditation piece because that's exactly what I do. Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely like a very mindfulness based way of being. And also it puts the mind in like a receptive space. It's in a very
Mhm.
like relaxed space. And I think that that is for me anyway, and for a lot of people that I work with, that's the place we often get the best ideas.
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah,
from,
I could tell you're peaceful, right? I'm peaceful, right? I don't like altercation. I don't like yelling. I mean, if I'm having fun, that's something different. But angry vibes, unloving conversation, unloving vibes. It agitates me actually because I'm like, I don't want to hear that. And I would tend to like be away. I'm okay with what's said about being an introvert. I'm okay with just me being by myself. I'm okay with that. And um I don't have a problem with any of that. So I don't care what people say. It's just, I want to kind of exude what I love to talk about most, and that's love. That's positivity. So here I am.
yeah, for sure. And I think
Yeah.
like for a lot of us, there's a tendency like to dive too far into the noise of like things like social media, for example.
Yes.
Um, and that can be noisy, just like kind
Yeah.
of everyone else's opinions like coming at you all the time, which can then
Hmm.
influence your own opinions and your own
For
like
sure.
real authentic voice, I think. And it
For sure.
also breeds like so much comparison. I mean, is that
Hmm.
something that you really try and stay from as away from as much as you can as well? But
Hmm.
or is it something that you do find
So
inspiration from?
I'll look at social media as a very extreme form of entertainment. So I don't take social media for as serious as most people may. I just don't. It's just social media is a form of entertainment to me. You still have some that are not necessarily entertaining and they're just trying to give information out, but you should. I can discern exactly why you're putting that out. I mean, it makes sense to me. Some people can't. Some people can't turn it off. They can't turn it down. They have to have it in their face 24 hours or 7 days a week. Not me necessarily. Um, but I do look at it. I do find it hilarious sometimes. And I do see it as being inspirational at times. I do see it at times like, man, I wonder really what that really was. So I always look at stuff half full, like what's really that is. And even in that sense, sometimes you have to shut that off because you don't want to keep thinking about stuff, and trying to process stuff and discern stuff and kind of dig too deep into it. It's just like, no, just pay attention for it, listen to it, see it and let it be entertaining for you and cut it off. Don't saturate your life with that if you don't need to. And if you need to, have a certain time of the day where you shut that thing off and just kind of be a human being unattached to any electrical devices.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's like it's got its place, but I think you have to, as a creative, get to a point where you're using it so it's not using you.
Yes, that's very true.
So you're like you're
That makes
putting
sense.
yourself out there if you want to, if that's your channel of
Right,
connecting with people,
right.
but not like taking on too much of that
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
to be discerning to like not fall down into that trap, because so many of us do, and to kind of
Yeah.
be discerning to like what is enough for you and what feels
Hmm.
not so much for you, or like
Right.
what feels too much for you,
Right.
shows a lot of self-leadership.
Yeah.
um
I love it though. I love it. Yeah, I like to be my own person. Um, I like to set the trend for my life. I don't like it that, sometimes, social media would try to kind of trend set what your life could be. No, if anything is going to be a trendsetter, it's going to be me. And some people will say, well, that's arrogant. Oh, no, I don't think so, but okay, I'm cool with it. But I'm not going to wear what everybody else wears. I'm not going to listen to what everybody listens to. I'm not going to have the same perspective. If I agree, I agree. If I don't, I don't. And I'm cool with that. So I'm cool with setting my own trend. And as a creator, I think it's important that we set our own trends, that we be the person that we want to be, not dictated by anybody else.
Yeah, and I think that that's so true. Some people get kind of caught up into being the person they think they should be. You
Hmm.
know, like a successful musician looks and sounds like this. A successful
Hmm.
painter looks and sounds like this. So therefore I should be that. But as you say, I think it has to come back to that discerning voice within of like, but is
That's right.
that my
Hmm.
truth?
Yeah, you're authentically made. There's no other duplicate. There's nobody. They got your fingerprint. Your fingerprint is like nobody else's. So you are specifically designed to be you all by yourself. Unless you have a twin, and even if you have a twin, your fingerprints are not the same anyway. Yeah.
Exactly, for sure. Um, I guess that's a great kind of comment to leave it on, really. Like there is only
Yeah.
ever one you, that is your power and that's your vision and that's your path. And just
That's
like
right.
you have done this whole time
Hmm.
since a very, very young age, kind of
Yeah.
stayed really true to what you were passionate about, what you
Yep.
loved, and what drove your career. I think that's so amazing. And I think that everyone will be really, really inspired by your story and all the tips that you've shared
Yes.
throughout everything that you've done in your life, for sure.
I hope so. I hope my light shines, and I hope it shines bright, and I hope it kind of catches on like wildfire and pay it forward. Give the information to somebody else. Let it catch on, and let it be wildfire, and let it be what it's designed to do. Let it be love. Let it be your maverick mind in action to love on purpose, be you, and be true.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that so much. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Kenny.
absolutely.
I'll leave,
Thank
of
you.
course, the links to wherever everyone can find you in the show notes. But just for people listening, where can they search for you right now? Where's the best place to find you?
You can find me on all your social media sites. Let's go to the website. It's going to be kennyjmusic.com. You can catch me on Instagram at Kenny Wilkins, TikTok, Kenny J. Wilkins, the number 7, and Facebook, Kenny J. Wilkins.
And of course, Spotify.
Spotify, iTunes, music, everywhere you get your digital music from, you can catch it. I got to get better saying Spotify because everybody does the Spotify. Stream the music. You can listen to it all. Everything is there. I got things dropping this year. I'm reintroducing gospel to the catalog. I got the
Nice.
Christmas record we have dropping probably towards the end of the November, somewhere around there. Um, I have Back to Rhythm and Love Volume 2 coming the first quarter, and I got more stuff coming summer next year. So I'm working consistently, putting out more music, putting out more information, and I got a podcast that I'm working on too.
Oh,
That's
exciting.
going to be called Real Thought, Real Talk with Kenny J.
Love
We're
that.
just going to be having a conversation about music, more or less songs that have positive messages that we can kind of unpack and talk about and unpack them. So whether it's love, it'll be great. It'll be a great conversation. It's not going to be long. I think it'll help artists that are trying to get conscious music available,
Yeah.
and it kind of puts people to kind of get back into listening to music with some meat on the bone, listening to music that really means something. So hopefully we could do that. Now I'm going to do it, and I hope that you
Yeah.
guys are tune in.
Definitely do that. I love that idea to kind of like
Yeah.
go into like the
Yeah.
meaning behind the songs and
The meaning behind them.
kind of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
activation, I guess.
Even if we get it wrong, we can still say whatever
It
we
doesn't
think the
matter. It's
song is.
your
Doesn't
perception,
matter.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. So
I love that idea. So I'm sure
yeah.
everyone will definitely catch that whenever you bring that out. And thanks again
Thank
so,
you
so
so
much
much.
for
I
coming
appreciate it.
on.
Thank you, Elia. Thank you so much. Maverick Mind. Salute. We love you.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Maverick Mind. I hope that you've loved it, and if you have, I would appreciate it so much if you would subscribe and write a 5-star review on wherever you're listening to this podcast from. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, I invite you to join me over on Instagram at MaverickMindCo or on my website maverickmind.elliefoden.com. And I'll see you in another podcast very, very soon.